Are you satisfied with the federal government's pandemic response?
I think we saw more from the provinces, and there was a exceptionally strong response at the beginning, both on the provincial and on the federal side. I think everyone is exhausted, including the politicians, and that we need to understand that. But we also need to keep everyone working forward.
I'm okay with it. I thought, there's been a lot of changing as things went on, and I think that they responded as best they could with the information they had.
I would agree with that. I think they did a pretty good job, given that they didn't really know what was coming. They were always kind of, it was always in a response to what was happening next. I do think there could have been a little bit more consistency in their response in terms of when they implement something, making sure it was consistent and held for a longer period of time, rather than trying to, cater to the loud voices that just, wanted to go back to normal but too soon.
Yes and no. I've been back and forth from England, from Manitoba, throughout Canada, and I've seen the different, from provinces to province, how the differences are. And in Ontario, it's been a little, when I've been traveling, I've seen the big differences, and so I feel like things have been closed up a little longer than it should have been. But the mask mandate's pretty good, but I just feel like things have been just shut down. It's done a lot of damage on, especially Ottawa. You've seen a lot of stores open and close, because of the pandemic. It's just been hard on the economy, especially in Ontario.
Personally, I am not. I think that recently, especially in the last few months, it's just been very divisive, and I just don't like to see how a country that used to be so united, especially in contrast to the United States, seems to have become so polarized and so angry. I mean, we saw it here at the convoy. I think Canadians just need a bit more compassion and a little bit more freedom to make, some choices for themselves and have those choices respected.
It's such an unknown. It's something we've never been through before. So the fact that, government leaders had to basically create rules from scratch. You do what you can do with the information given to you, but again, following the science and not what suits the political agenda. So I'd say it's a little bit of both, but in Ottawa, we felt safe for the most part.
It's something that's so difficult to actually account for realistically that, they've done probably as good a job as anybody could have. That, sure, it's not perfect, but kind of impossible to be perfect on.
Sure.
Yeah, I would have liked, more consistency, but maybe my problems stem from more of the provincial aspects of the, trying to handle the pandemic. I don't know much about on the federal scale, but I feel like on provincial, things could have been handled a bit better.
Yeah, in general, I think they've done a pretty good job. They've been very supportive of workers and small businesses especially, and I think they've made a big difference. Could have been a lot worse for some of these people.
In terms of the pandemic and how they've treated for people, yes, I am. The mask restrictions now, I do like it where it's at, where it's recommended but not mandatory. The vaccines and all that, I think they've done a good job with that.
You work in healthcare?
Yeah, I work in healthcare. Sorry, and it was stressful. But I think the government did the best they could with what information that they had at the time.
They are taking away people's rights, right? There should be the freedom of choice to be able to wear your mask. If you want to take the vaccine, should be a freedom of choice and things like that, right?
Overall, I'd say yes. I think, I think the Trudeau government did the best that they could with what they were given. You know what I mean? It's unprecedented. Nobody had the answers. For all intents and purposes, I think that went as well as it could.
I am not saying that government is not doing anything. Government is doing far good for the public, but the public should understand that isolation is the only way to keep corona away from us. So government is doing well. I would say.
Overall, I think everyone's doing the best they can. It's hard. There's no playbook for this. It's the first time for everyone, and I think overall everyone's just trying their best and making through it as best we can.
I think so. I thought that the vaccine rollout was okay, and I didn't really have any qualms with it, but I think that they kind of followed the information and science that they had at that time. So, I mean, that's all I can ask for.
As someone with a compromised immune system, I'm not entirely satisfied, and it's unfortunate that the whole pandemic has become so politicized. It's not a political issue. It's a public safety issue. And I think that's how it should have been approached and should have been dealt with, and it hasn't been dealt that way so far.
Yes, I would say by and large. I know people are going to pillory whoever it was. If it was the Conservatives in power, the NDP and the Liberals would have beat them up for doing too much or not enough or whatever. If anyone had a crystal ball on the COVID response, they'd be geniuses. And every province with all different various governments has tried things. They haven't worked. They have worked. It's a pandemic for a reason. This isn't some sort of easy solution. No, everyone was caught off guard. Is there certain things that the feds could have done better? No, I actually was all right with the federal response.